Good evening, everyone. Tonight we're sitting at a corner table under a copper lamp in a downtown trattoria, where low conversation moves like warm water between the glasses. And a Mother's Day card leans against a salt shaker as if it's practicing confidence. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. And in the comments, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is. I like seeing our little constellation of night owls. Now, turn off the lights, maybe let a fan hum in the background, and let's begin tonight's journey together. Bellini's was kind to faces and even kinder to weeks. White cloths earned their keep, forks rested like polite soldiers, lemon and butter braided through the air. Across from me, my daughter Lila. Cream blazer borrowed from confidence lifted a bottle of Roussanne the way magicians lift scarves. To you. Mom, she said, filling both glasses right to the line where celebration lives. Her smile had that shimmer I know too well. Please don't ask follow-up questions. Mother's Day is a public holiday for private negotiations. This dinner was our third attempt at peace after 2 months of "I've got it covered" texts that didn't cover anything. Lila's hand trembled just enough to register if you were trained on her like I've been since she weighed 7 pounds and believed ceiling fans were angels. Our waiter, Matteo. Name stitched in neat thread, arrived with bread like a small architecture project. He set down olive oil, pepper, and a folded napkin tucked under my water glass. "Your entree will be in 10, he murmured, eyes on the table. Then, softer, and not looking at Lila, Miss Nora. "There's a note for you." He withdrew the way stagehands do necessary, invisible. I slid the napkin closer and felt paper a thin rectangle with the scratch of a rushed pen. I lifted my water, tilted the napkin as if adjusting the landscape, and read 8 words written like a heartbeat. "Don't drink what she poured. I'm sorry. M." The room kept existing. Plates chimed. Someone laughed the laugh of carbonara. Candles negotiated with drafts. My hand stayed. My lungs went somewhere to count. Lila lifted her glass toward mine as if clinking could erase gravity. "To the woman who made me stubborn," she said. "The bouquet rose, stone fruit, hay, and something skittish. Elder wisdom. When a moment invites panic, do one practical thing. Wipe your fork. Breathe into your collarbone. Move a single object from there to here. It gives your courage somewhere to sit." I did 3 small things. I dabbed at a non-existent crumb. I slid the napkin to my lap. And I tipped my own glass just enough to wet the rim. Then set it down like a promise I hadn't made yet. "To clean plates," I said lightly, "and careful accountants." Lila laughed too fast, the way laughter sounds when it owes money to nerves. Light joke number 1, I told her I'd only drink if the wine could also fold laundry. "You always demanded miracles," she said, smiling too hard. I brought a bottle, not a priest. Matteo appeared with a candle relight the candle didn't need. He cupped the flame, eyes on the wick, and whispered so low the word felt like a temperature switch. Then, at normal volume, "Accidental spill." He set down a fresh knife and a second napkin like props. I lifted my glass to toast and, with a small theatrical gasp, brushed it with my wrist. A clean crescent of Roussanne leapt across the cloth and into Lila's lap. "Oh, clumsy me," I breathed. She squealed, half annoyed, half grateful to be dealing with a problem that wasn't the real one. Matteo materialized with seltzer, the practiced benevolence of someone who rescues evenings for sport in the commotion. He swapped our glasses with the ease of a card trick. Academic phrase of the day: chain of custody. The public argument that an item's integrity depends on a documented, observed path. In court, it's evidence. At dinner, it's whose hand poured what and when. New rule: even family toasts deserve daylight. Lila blotted her skirt and laughed in that fresh way people laugh when they're relieved to have a minor mess. "I'll run to the restroom," she said. cheeks pinking back to human. She took her bag. She did not take her glass. I stared at the newly switched stem like it was a stranger holding my address. The meniscus caught light. The faintest sediment winked near the base. Wine does that innocent chemistry that turns into a clue when fear rents a table. I set my hand above it like a dome, not touching, as if I could delay molecules by posture alone. Sidebar odd fact, the first modern Mother's Day push in the US, came from Anna Jarvis, who later hated how commercial it became. She spent her fortune fighting its success and was once arrested for disturbing the peace at a carnation fundraiser. There's no tradition so tender it can be pickpocketed by marketing or desperation. Matteo returned with a towel and a smile that meant, "We're in the same book. Let's find the next page." He hovered just long enough to murmur, "Manager knows. Camera by the bar saw a handoff earlier. I'm sorry." The apology sat between salt and pepper like an extra place setting. "Thank you," I whispered. He nodded with the mercy of a metronome. Light joke number 2, if anyone asks. "I spilled because I'm auditioning for a grape commercial," I said. He almost smiled. "We'll call it method." Lila came back with hair smoothed, skirt surrendered to physics. She refilled her glass, my glass, with a nervous flourish. "Round 2, she said. "Eyes too bright. To new chapters. To punctuation," I countered. "May we choose our commas wisely. We clinked China reconsidering its loyalties." I didn't drink. She did a prim sip, pretending not to be a decision. Her lashes fluttered once, like birds panicking at a window, then remembering the sky. She set the glass down and reached for bread with sudden devotion. So she chirped, too buoyant. "Aunt Beatrice's papers, did you ever sign those?" The sentence fell to the table like cutlery. Aunt Beatrice, with her ceramic owls and fondness for underlining, had left a letter about an inheritance I hadn't touched, because grief asks for 2 hands and I'd only had 1. Calls came from a lawyer named Dana Klein. Lila had handled them by forwarding something I never read. This was the first time she'd said the quiet part in public. Elder wisdom. Second cup. When someone rushes you toward a pen, check whose paper it is. If the signature makes only one person safer, it isn't a family plan, it's a heist with stationery. I buttered bread with the care I reserve for CPR. "Why do you ask?" I said in the voice I use with skittish horses. Lila shrugged. "Just timelines." Her pupils were big enough to rent. The room's edges fuzzed a little around her. Entrace arrived like the universe had decided to course correct. "Sea bass for you. Gnocchi for you," Matteo recited. He hovered 1 beat longer, eyes on the glass, lifted the bottle, pretended to pour, then set it away. A wrist tattoo flashed beneath his cuff, a caduceus. Pharmacy. He wasn't guessing. He was seeing. Light joke number 3. "If the gnocchi are knockout good," I told Lila, "we'll call a car." She giggled too earnestly, then blinked slow, patting her temple. "Weird," she murmured. I stood up too fast from the mirror. I kept my face a lake. "Eat a few bites," I murmured. "Bread too." My fork performed calm theater. Inside, thoughts marched without permission. How long until this turned into an ER? What to say if she slid from drift to drop, who to text Ruth, my sister. Already on alert whenever holidays misbehave. Academic phrase of the day. Bonus. Because the table asked for 2 languages. Informed consent. The public argument that decisions about bodies and signatures require a clear mind and clear information. If either is missing, the answer is always later. Across the room. The manager chatted up a couple at the bar with suspicious enthusiasm, body blocking any easy view toward us. Near the entrance, a shadow pretended to read the specials board, chunky watch, jaw with opinions. The room remapped itself exits, lines of sight, intentions. I tore another piece of bread and placed it in Lila's hand like communion for a congregation of 2. "Tell me the truth," I said, ash soft. She looked at the plate, then at me, then at the glass, as if it had become a biography she didn't want to read in public. I wanted tonight to be easy, she whispered. I wanted you to sign things with cake. Her throat worked. I made a stupid decision. She pressed fingers to her temple. Mom, I don't feel right. I don't feel... Mateo set a small carafe of water by my elbow unchilled. A nurse's choice, and a discreet card that read, "In the font of safety, we can call an ambulance if you nod twice." I looked at my daughter, my own heart looping a stitch it hadn't learned yet, and nodded once, not yet, but close. The room hummed, steady as a refrigerator at midnight. Mother's Day kept its crooked crown, and the wine glass, innocent and guilty, caught a ring of light and held it like a secret we were one breath from opening. Lila tried to spear a gnocchi and found her fork doing jazz. The tines missed, then missed again, then performed a small apology on the plate. She blinked, jaw loosening the way a clasp loosens under warm water. The room's tilty, she said softly, as if sharing a secret with the salt. Elder wisdom. When someone you love starts listing like a boat, remove the ocean. Lower the noise. Lower the light. Lower the choices until yes and no are the only furniture. Let's get some air, I murmured, already nodding to Mateo. He materialized with the choreography of a magician who dislikes applause. Service hallway, he whispered, tilting his head toward a door disguised as wall. Quiet back there. He lifted my purse to my shoulder like a valet handling crown jewels and scooped up the suspicious glass with a napkin that suddenly looked like a warrant. Academic phrase of the day. In situ preservation, the public argument that sometimes the most responsible first step is to leave a thing where it is and document it. Moving can smudge truth. Restaurants are not labs. But tonight, our table was a crime story trying to become a salad. We moved. The manager, Elise, hair wound into competence, stepped into the path of the specials board shadow without touching him. Her voice went cheerful and firm. "Sir, we're at capacity at the bar. I can put you on the list." She smiled a smile that said list meant limbo. He drifted, annoyed. Elise didn't drift at all. The service hallway smelled like lemons and clean aprons. Mateo leaned into the swing door, let it whisper shut, and guided us into a tiny office with a window fan that wasn't paid enough. He slid a chair under Lila. She folded into it like a tent, remembering its shape. "Water," he said, setting a glass within reach, unchilled. He added to me, as if that were an amulet. Sidebar odd fact, activated charcoal, that trendy black powder in detox lemonades. Can bind some drugs in the stomach if given early, but it's not a home spell, and it's not for wine. ERs use it when appropriate and skip it when it hurts more than helps. Internet potions are lousy paramedics. Lila pressed her fingers to her temple. Then her phone woke in her palm as if it knew when to misbehave. The screen flashed a name I'd seen once too often in her anxious texts, Vic. She swiped before I could block the world. "Yeah," she breathed, words slurring at the edges. "I'm working on it." A pause. A man's voice leaked faintly from the speaker. Oil on gravel. "No more delays. Get the papers signed or I start repossessing your hours. You know what that means." He didn't shout. People who enjoy power rarely need volume. Lila's eyes found mine and flinched. "Tonight," she whispered. And the whisper had a leash. Just tonight. Mateo's gaze flicked to me. He didn't ask. He recorded the air with his face. Light joke number 1, I reached over and, with the calm of a librarian closing a book on a table, said, "We're temporarily out of tonight. Would you like to hear about our never Leela gave a tiny laugh that almost belonged to her old self. The phone kept breathing. I pressed end like a doorbell you don't intend to wait by. Mateo touched the office intercom. "Elise, we're calling EMS," he said. "And can you lock the side door? Our special sport enthusiast has a wristwatch with opinions." Elise's voice came back. Crisp, already done. Ambulance in 5, alley clear. I kneeled so my face and Lila's shared a distance kindness could cross. "Tell me what's in you," I said. "Tell me the pharmacy word." Her mouth twisted, choosing between shame and breath. Maybe Z-drug. She stammered, then blinked hard. "Plus wine. I didn't plan to. I just wanted you calmer." She closed her eyes as if the dark could edit the sentence. "I messed up, Mom." Elder wisdom second pour. You can triage later who hurt whom and why in the moment. Pick the verb that keeps a person breathing and a future possible. Sirens do not respect ambience, but they do respect speed. The EMTs arrived with big quiet hands. "What's her name?" the woman asked. "Leela, age 27. "Any meds?" I glanced at Mateo. He nodded a quick. "Professional will handle chain." I said the little I knew and the big I feared. The EMT's face didn't flinch. "We'll monitor vitals. IV access, transport," she said. "Making a world out of nouns. You can ride along." Light joke number 2. Mateo tucked a to-go bag into my hand. "Bread for courage," he said. "It's on the menu, but only for staff and mothers." I told him I'd return the Tupperware with interest. "Pièce de résistance is a sticky note," he added. And indeed, inside the bag, taped to foil. "Keep receipts. Keep calm, M." They rolled Lila out the discreet door. Elise held back the curious with a tray of flawless smiles. The specials board shadow leaned. Elise leaned more. "Restrooms are for guests," she said, which in manager means you are not a guest. The ambulance was a small, moving galaxy flashing stars, oxygen constellations, a soft-voiced universe measuring our gravity. I sat on the tiny bench and counted Lila's breaths the way I counted contractions the night she arrived, gathering, peaking, letting go. She looked at me with shame, trying to find a home and failing. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Keep breathing," I whispered back. "We'll alphabetize sorry later." Academic phrase of the day, bonus track. Since fluorescents ask for footnotes, implied consent. The public argument that when a patient can't safely consent. Medics treat to preserve life. It's a trust we give professionals because morality without oxygen is a short story. At County General, the big doors did their hinge hymn. The triage nurse took one look and fast-tracked because triage nurses have PhDs in triage faces. Possible Z hypnotic plus ethanol. The EMT summarized. Onset 30 to 40 minutes, patient conscious, drowsy. Oriented ×2, the nurse wrote, nodded, moved. Fluorescent light doesn't flatter anybody, it flatters honesty. They parked us behind a curtain with a view of shoe bottoms and clipboards. Lila curled toward my voice like a sunflower cheating at noon. "Don't tell Ruth," she mumbled. "We'll tell her the parts that need telling," I said, which is not a lie. It's a plan with room. The resident arrived, ice kind despite the hour. "I'm Dr. Ko," she said, checking pupils with a pen light that speaks a language brains understand. "Do you remember what you took Lila tried to build the word and couldn't? Maybe Zolpi," she said. "Syllables molasses. Zolpidem Dr. Ko supplied, not unkindly. Okay. We'll draw labs, monitor, hydrate. We'll keep you where gravity is polite." She glanced at me. "Did you ingest the same no?" I said. A waiter warned me. Her brow flicked a little in respect for aligned strangers. Sidebar odd fact. Hospital curtains are mostly about psychology, not privacy. Sound ignores them, sight believes. Healing often starts when you think you aren't being watched, even when you are. By kindness. While labs did their whir and the IV taught saline to be useful. I stepped into the hallway to call the lawyer whose voicemails had been knocking on my weak Dana Klein. It was almost midnight. A real person answered on the second ring. "Dana," I said, keeping my voice a lullaby with facts. "This is Nora. I'm at County General with my daughter. I think someone tried to hurry me into signing Beatrice's papers under questionable lighting." "Don't sign a thing," she said. Not loud, very clear. "I've been trying to reach you because there are time frames and, frankly, vultures. I'll come in the morning with coffee and a notary who doesn't blink." She paused. "And Nora, I'm sorry tonight is what it is." Light joke number 3. "If your notary drinks decaf," I said, "we might all get through this without adjectives." She chuckled. "He stamps better with caffeine. See you at 9. I returned to find Mateo's to-go bag had acquired a companion, a small, labeled cup with a lid. The kind used for sauces, containing a tiny sample napkin, square, sealed in plastic. And a business card from Elise with CCTV copy held for Nora scrawled on the back. Chain again. Not paranoia daylight with paperwork. Lila dozed. Monitors hummed their private lullaby. On the next gurney, someone argued tenderly with morphine about philosophy. Across the way, a janitor made the floor behave like civility. I sat in the chair that reminds you you're mortal and wrote, in my notebook, 3 sentences that can stand in daylight. A waiter warned me. I switched the glasses. My daughter drank the thing meant for me. A man named Vic is pushing papers. His voice thinks time answers to him. Tomorrow, I will ask Dana to map inheritance, debts, and shelter. I will not sign hunger. Elder wisdom 3rd. Call it decaf. When the night tries to turn you into a plot twist, become a stenographer. The pen will not glamorize, it will remember. Around 2. Lila's breath evened into what passable sleep looks like when wires are your jewelry. I tucked the blanket hospital cotton, earnest and rough around her shoulders. "We'll fix what paper can," I told the air. And the air didn't argue. My phone buzzed once in my pocket. A text from an unknown number, "Papers at brunch," or "Bills at midnight. Choose." I took a picture, forwarded it to myself, to Dana's office, intake email, and to a new contact Mateo had scribbled under his sticky note date, Salazar City PD, fraud. I typed 1 sentence below the photo, "We choose daylight." I leaned back against the chair, which forgave me with a creak. Fluorescence hummed like beehives trying out lullabies. Somewhere in the ER, a printer sighed, and somewhere in me, a hinge clicked back into place. I held Mateo's note between 2 fingers and felt my pulse settle into its cadence. Keep receipts. Keep calm. We would add a 3rd tomorrow. With Dana's help, keep custody of your name. Lila murmured something from childhood. Maybe the fan. Maybe the lake. Maybe the story she always asked me to tell about a rabbit who learned how to say "not yet" to the wolf. "Not yet," I said to the ceiling. "Not this time." Outside the sliding doors, night pressed its cool hand against the glass. Morning, patient and unbeautiful, began to line up somewhere behind it. Dawn entered the ER sideways, as if it knew fluorescent light already owned the ceiling and was just here to negotiate. Lila slept a negotiated sleep, Ivor dripping steady, pulse oximeter blinking like a polite metronome. I'd texted Ruth a non-panic update at County, "Stable, we'll call after rounds," forwarded the threats to Dana, and copied Elise's CCTV copy held message into a little folder on my phone called Daylight. When the nurse came to check vitals, I offered bread from Mateo's secret menu. She smiled without taking it. Hospital people know better than carbs at 5 a.m. and adjusted the blanket with the skill of a person who's tucked in 2,000 worries and counting. Elder wisdom. when you're waiting on someone you love to wake up. Pick a small chore and repeat it without apology. Straighten the blanket. Refill your water. Write the time on a sticky note. It keeps your fear from auditioning for bigger roles. Lila stirred. Her eyes surfaced like swimmers who remember the word up. My mouth tastes like pennies, she rasped. Hospitals are nickel forward, I said softly. Welcome back. She looked at the IV, then at me, then at the chair, then at the ceiling cataloging. Because memory is an accountant. A minute later. Shame wandered in. Late to the party and overdressed. I did the stupid thing, she whispered. Let me try again with verbs, I said. Someone did a thing to you. You did a thing to me. We are going to separate those with paperwork. A curtain whisper announced Dr. Ko and a pharmacist whose badge read Nguyen. Vitals steady, labs reassuring, Ko said. Likely zolpidem plus ethanol. As suspected, sedative hypnotic plus wine. We'll monitor a bit longer, then discharge with outpatient follow-up. No more wine for 72 hours. No more unsupervised life choices for longer. Nguyen ran through interactions and caution labels in language my brain could laminate. I signed nothing I couldn't read out loud. Light joke number 1, side effects may include an inconvenient resurgence of honesty, I said. Nguyen. Deadpan champion, replied. That one's off-label but documented. After the white coat sailed onto other storms. Lila stared at the bed rail and exhaled like a tire that had finally decided to confess. Victor, she said, the syllables landing like receipts. He's not my friend. He's a fixer. For a ring. High-limit private games. Back rooms. Friends at Riverlight. I started with Friday poker nights. Dead, her mouth struggled with the arithmetic 60. Then 70, because the juice runs, they said. Make it clean. Get Mom to sign Aunt B's papers, and we'll call it a scholarship. She swallowed. I thought if I could just move money first. Fix everything second. She looked at me an inch sideways. This is the part where you say I'm a criminal and a child. Not today, I said. Today is for maps. We'll name the country tomorrow. I asked the practical questions. The way you clean a wound before deciding which bandage fits how long. Who called? Who handed the bottle? Who said papers? She gave names, phone numbers, textures. The bottle came wrapped, she said, shivering at the memory. In the parking lot, from a woman with sharp perfume and soft hands, she said, "Cheers for moms." I did this to you. The IV pump beeped its impartial beep. And you did this to you, I said. And let the sentence end there, no lecture, no escape hatch. Academic phrase of the day. Undue influence, the public argument that a signature isn't valid if someone manipulates a vulnerable person through pressure, deception, or trust. It's a legal way of saying if the room is crooked, the pen can't be straight. The curtain breathed again. Dana Klein stepped in exactly at 9 with coffee like evidence and a notary whose stamp looked recently caffeinated. Hair in a no-nonsense knot. Shoes that could outrun paperwork. Eyes that liked nouns. I'm Dana, she said. Voice in the humane register. Before we touch anything, I need 3 facts. Did you sign Beatrice's transfer instrument? Did anyone show you a copy? Did anyone tell you there were contingencies? No. No. And the only contingency I'd heard was bring cake. Dana nodded slowly, setting her tote down like a chess piece. Good. Beatrice added a spendthrift trust rider for exactly this reason: no direct cash out, no encumbrance by creditors, distributions for health, education, maintenance, support only. Translation: you can't sign away principal even if you want to. They needed your signature to pretend you could. Lila's breath hitched a sardonic laugh without calories. So, I tried to steal something that can't be stolen. You tried to trespass in a house with a steel door, Dana said evenly. and a clerk named Lark guarding the porch. She opened a folder, revealed a letterhead that made my shoulders drop an inch. I have the probate order. Will reaffirm your trustee designation and slap a notice on every courthouse door this side of the county, no assignments accepted. We'll also file a fraud alert and a do not notarize advisory with examples of your signature. We'll deliver copies to the title companies and the casino's compliance office, because they have opinions when their customers' money gets creative. Sidebar odd fact, casinos report large transactions through CTRs, currency transaction reports, anything over 10,000. There's also SARs. Suspicious activity reports filed quietly when patterns smell like shampoo over gasoline. Compliance officers read patterns like meteorologists read sky. The notary witnessed me sign a narrow power of attorney limited to probate matters, Dana's pen. Precise. Tidy. Lila watched, swallowing the careful kind of regret. If I go to HR and confess, she said near silently, they'll fire me. Maybe, I answered. But secrets have never paid your rent on time. Dinah sipped coffee with judicial restraint. Will scripted limited statement with counsel. Offer restitution. Accept consequences. It's better than waiting for audit to discover a creative accounting friend. And will ask for medical leave for rehab because brains deserve maintenance. Light joke number 2. Do they give out punch cards for life lessons? I asked. Buy 9. Get the 10th free, Dana said. She only honors coupons printed on court letterhead. A knock. Detective Salazar. Fraud Mateo's contact entered with Elise's USB in an evidence envelope and eyebrows that suggested he'd seen this movie's trailer. We've got the camera angle on the handoff, he said, voice steady. And the waiter's written statement without adjectives. We'll test the glass, track the number that texted threats, and have a chat with Riverlight Security about your Mr. Victor. He looked at Lila without cruelty. If you want to make a statement with counsel, we'll listen. If you want to fix things without theater, jury's like the part where people stop lying. I gave him Mateo's sticky note, Victor's texts, and the name of the woman with sharp perfume. He slid his card to me. Don't negotiate alone, he said. Extortion likes parking garages. Bring sunlight. We discharged with papers that rustled like sarcasm, and a follow-up appointment time nursing had moved heaven to obtain. Dana walked us to the curb the way good lawyers walk their clients through thresholds. Here's the day, she said. Pressing a list into my palm, 1 identity freezes. 2. Bank, no change without ID flags. 3. Call Beatrice's custodian. Record restrictive endorsement. 4. HR script for Lila. Rehab's shortlist on the back. She paused. Do not go see Victor today. If he calls, you say all communications to counsel. Then you hang up. You don't owe him the courtesy of punctuation. Elder wisdom refill. Don't aim to be fearless. Aim to be well briefed. Fear is loud. Facts have thicker walls. We got Lila home to Ruth's ground floor guest room. Cool sheets, a pitcher of water like a treaty. Ruth arrived with her nurse's calm and a timer. Sips every 10 minutes. Phone off except mom. Counselor or cat videos, she ruled. I've already hidden your laptop in a place called After Detox. She hugged me once, properly. I'll keep the night shift. You go do the paper thing. I did the paper thing. I froze my credit. Then Lila's. With the underappreciated nobility of bureaucratic portals. I set no changes without in-person ID at the bank. Added passwords no one could guess, first book loved, street where I fell off a bike, Beatrice's favorite owl, and asked for mailed confirmations because ink talks later when memory is busy. I called the trust custodian. A woman named Carolyn said the sentence I wanted on a t-shirt. We are allergic to creative signatures. She added a distribution hold pending counsel review and emailed a form that used the phrase anti-alienation with an exclamation mark only lawyers can see. Light joke number 3. I labeled a new file, We declined nonsense and promised it a cookie when this was over. Paperwork performs better when bribed like a small, obedient dog. By late afternoon, Dana texted Casino Compliance confirms a Victor R. flagged for SAR review last quarter. Detective looped, sit tight, no ambush heroics. I replied with a photo of my tea and the words, heroic sitting accomplished. Lila, awake now. Texted from Ruth's, I told HR I need medical leave and compliance wants a meeting. You can come. I will bring verbs and water. I wrote, you bring honesty. Before dark, Mateo called from a blocked number, voice low in a way that didn't make me flinch. Manager says Barcam cut the cheers for moms handoff, he said. We kept the napkin piece sealed. Elise will log it for the detective. I thanked him in full sentences and promised to return the Tupperware with something that apologizes for existing. No need, he said. Watching a woman choose daylight is tip enough. Night arrived with less theater than last night, no sirens auditioning for soundtrack. No specials board shadows rehearsing authority. I sat at my own kitchen table for the first time in what felt like 2 calendars and wrote 3 lines on a card I planned to keep near the sink. Love without boundaries is a checkbook written in fog. Help is a sentence with a noun, a verb, and a receipt. Tomorrow, rehab intake, HR script, bank confirmations, and a call block on anyone whose voice makes oxygen shy. The house breathed. The refrigerator found its B-flat, out in the yard. A neighbor's wind chime remembered moderation. I set Dana's list under the potato paperweight and let it hold. Somewhere across town, a parking garage considered how much daylight it could survive. We would answer that question soon. But not tonight. Tonight. The map was drawn with doors that open only in the morning. Morning had the decency to show up on time. I took coffee to Ruth's guest room, cool sheets, blinds at half-mast, the quiet that makes hospitals forgive you for leaving. Lila sat propped with pillows, hair in a surrender bun. A spiral notebook balanced on her knees like a confession stand. Maps, she said, tapping the cover. You asked for maps. We set the room like a small office water within reach. Phone face down. Mateo spread in napkin squares because nerves eat better when the crust is neat. Lila opened the notebook and let the weeks unspool into boxes and arrows. It started as Friday nights, she said. A poker game at Marco's garage, friends of friends. I was good enough to be unlucky. Her pencil tapped a date. Victor showed up 3rd week. He doesn't play. He watches. Offers a line when luck starts pronouncing your name wrong. Line meant loan. The arrows learned multiplication. 60 became 68 with juice, she whispered. Then 75 because I thought doubling down was math and not fantasy. She swallowed. The ring moves between Marco's, the rooftop bar at Ellery, and Riverlight's garage like they're doing parkour with rules. Elder wisdom. Interest is not a personality, it's a gravity well. If you feel yourself circling, throw out mass habits. Subscriptions. The myth that next time has better manners. She flipped a page, a list of names with textures. Marco laughs with teeth. Sonia sharp perfume. Soft hands. Nathan clipboard. Pretend calm. Vic watch with opinions. Sonia handed me the bottle, she said, wrapped like a gift from a careful aunt. She said, cheers for moms, and told me exactly when to pour so we could get back to our lives. Lila's eyes found mine and stayed. I told myself it was a prank, like a harmless sleeping draft. The lie was so shiny. Academic phrase of the day. Durable power of attorney. The public argument that a person you choose can act for you if you can't, but only while you're willing or truly unable. It's not a shortcut for impatient relatives. It's a raft for bad rivers. People who weaponize mom's not herself try to steal the raft while you're still rowing. I screened your calls, Lila confessed, words small as aspirin. Dana called. I texted back from your phone, said you were declining. I hate that sentence. I liked how fast it opened doors. She pointed to screenshots. Her mom's having memory issues. Can we simplify Dana weeks ago? We'll meet when Miss Nora is present. The refusal glowed like a life jacket we had refused to wear. We pulled bank apps, sifted Cash App emojis pretending to be groceries, and printed statements with the kitchen printer Ruth swears in when it jams, in the margins. Lila built a key green highlighter for legitimate rent, yellow for oops, red for pressure. The page filled like a weather map, warning a storm that had already passed. Light joke number 1, I labeled one yellow streak latte ambition and told her the foam looked guilty. She actually smiled. I thought the barista was my therapist, she said. He gave more nods than advice. We called Dana on speaker. She answered before the second ring. Voice caffeinated and accurate. Good, she said after hearing our map. We'll forward Victor's text to the detective and file an undue influence notice in probate, plus a no solicitations letter. I also want a HIPAA release so I can attend rehab intake as your advocate, and a narrow confidentiality agreement before Lila talks to HR Truth with Rails. I signed and initialed and spelled my name like it was a bridge we were redecking plank by plank. Dana's notary arrived again. Stamp as cheerful as a good lock. We executed an affidavit I had not granted power of attorney to anyone. Any such claim was a forgery or misunderstanding. All inquiries to counsel. The stamp thunked like a reliable heartbeat. People will test your porch, Dana said. They often respect a no when it's embossed. After lunch, Ruth enforced a rest 15 minutes horizontal. No speeches. When Lila's timer chimed, she sat up straighter and said the part that had been circling the room without landing. I was going to fix my debt first, she said, with your trust. Then be a better daughter like a magic trick. I didn't plan to drug you. Then I planned to drug you and only got brave enough to do it when I was already ashamed. She twisted the blanket edge like it was a dial. I have to tell work I borrowed hours that weren't mine. She said borrowed because stolen pressed too hard on her throat. We let the smaller word stand while the bigger truth took its shoes off. Sidebar odd fact, casino chips at some properties have RFID tags. When you cash out, the system can whisper, "Where have you been?" into a database. Loyalty cards hum with even more gossip time at tables. Favorite machines. Whether you tilt after midnight. The carpet patterns those loud. Dizzying florals aren't random. They're designed to keep you awake and moving. Rooms can be pushy even when they never touch you. We made a daytime to-do, rehearse HR script, medical leave. Compliance meeting, restitution plan, call a rehab with beds and respect, and print a one-page do not notarize sample signature sheet for the clerk. Ruth added boundaries like salt better earlier than late, no devices in bed. All calls on speaker for 1 week. No cash withdrawals without a witness. I am not prison, she said. I am furniture. Lean when you wobble. Just before 2, my phone buzzed with a number that likes elevators. Victor. I let it go to voicemail. He obliged with a performance. You bring the papers. The problem goes away. You bring the police. The problem grows legs. He ended with a location Riverlight Garage. Level 3. Column K. 20 minutes if you're serious. He hung up like a magician who thinks the trick's already over. Light joke number 2. I told the ceiling I require 30 minutes to be serious. The ceiling did not argue. Dana, when I forwarded the audio, did no meetings. She texted back. Yet. We'll set the board and invite him to sit during daylight with counsel and microphones that blink red. For now, freeze, block, document. Detective Salazar's reply arrived 10 seconds later. Save audio. Do not go. We like garage invitations. They make judges hungry. Lila's face crumpled for 3 seconds, then ironed itself. I wanted to handle him, she said. Handle yourself first, I answered. Let professionals handle men who wear watches as personality. Copy, she said, faint smile. We called 3 rehabs. The first 2 offered brochures that sounded like resorts with sermons. The third, Elm House. Put a nurse on the phone who asked questions that made room for the unglamorous truth sleep. Cravings. Money. Shame. They had a bed tomorrow. A group today. And a policy about phones I liked on site. We booked the intake. Lila exhaled like an elevator that had remembered the ground floor. Academic phrase of the day, bonus track. Because the afternoon wanted 2 chalkboards. Pretext, call the public argument that law enforcement can script and record a call between a victim and a suspect to document pressure in the suspect's own words. Salazar texted, if you're willing later, we'll coach. Not today. We drove to my bank to add branch only. 2 signature flags to anything that might dream of wandering. The teller, a woman with patience in her posture, slid me a laminated sheet of what fraudsters try this season. Fake wire requests. Grandparent scams, urgent notaries. We can add a password, she said. Pick one you could say over traffic, but not over sentimentality. I chose Beatrice's least favorite owl. Lila snorted. She hated that owl, she said. All the more secure, I answered. Light joke number 3. The teller asked if we wanted to name the password hint. I said. Annoying bird. She said we were her favorite appointment today. On the way home, Lila asked for a detour by Bellini's. I need to look at the door I walked through with a bottle, she said. We parked half a block away and stood like people considering weather. Mateo stepped out for a smoke break he didn't take, saw us, and lifted 2 fingers. Peace, permission, presence. Detective got the footage, he said. Manager made copies that multiply when threatened. Also, your table is now famous among staff for the phrase, keep receipts, keep calm. We may embroider it on aprons. I promised him cinnamon rolls and a 5-star review for his caduceus tattoo. Back at Ruth's. We staged the HR call at the kitchen table because tables improve honesty. Lila practiced sentences like, scales I made improper personal transactions. I am committed to restitution. I am entering treatment. I request leave and a compliance meeting. I will bring documentation. She stumbled, then steadied. Then sounded like a person who had decided her mouth would stop lying even to keep her job. Ruth made her a nest of blankets in the living room and turned on a fan that sang the hymn All Fans Know. We wrote 3 lines for tomorrow's index card. Bring Dana to HR, bring water and a pen that won't wobble. Ask compliance for forgiveness schedules with dates. Not vibes. If Victor calls, hang up like a door that knows its hinges. Before bed. Lila put her phone in a basket we labeled Night Jail and handed me the key. We sat in the softer dark where shame has fewer angles. I tried to make cake fix money, she said. I tried to make wine fix courage. We will make paper fix the parts paper can, I said, and time will do what time does with the rest. The house settled. Ruth read a detective novel with one eye and watched the door with the other. I placed our new folder, We Decline Nonsense, under the potato paperweight that has somehow become the town's most trustworthy moon. Tomorrow would bring better fluorescent lights, HRs. Dana's notary, Elm House's intake, Detective Salazar's scripts for tonight. The map looked like a path instead of a maze, and the door decided to stay closed without help. HR offices always smell faintly of toner and intentions. We arrived at 10 with Dana's tote full of nouns, Lila in a clean blouse and deliberate shoes, and me holding a bottle of water the way ushers hold programs. The receptionist's smile had the kindness of a gate that opens when you bring the right sentences. Compliance and HR are ready, she said. Ready is a generous word. I took it. We sat at a round table that could have hosted birthdays if it tried harder. Miss Keene from HR introduced herself with a voice that did not rush. Mr. Alvarez from Compliance brought a legal pad that looked allergic to drama. Dana placed a skinny stack in the center doctor's note. Rehab intake confirmation. A written statement with verbs, not violins. We're here to disclose. Request medical leave and propose restitution under your policy, she said. Quiet as good cutlery. Lila spoke first. We'd practiced, but I let her find her own air. I made improper personal transactions using company time and resources, she began, hands clasped to keep them from auditioning for panic. I'm entering treatment. I request leave under the policy and accept a compliance review. I can repay what I took. She looked up, and for a second, I saw the small kid who once needed cue cards to apologize after sneaking cookies, trying very hard to be taller. Mr. Alvarez asked for facts without adjectives, dates, amounts, how the transfers crept past the line where oops becomes you knew better, Lila answered. Dana slid forward a proposed plan freeze access, voluntary audit, repayment schedule with dates, and an agreement that if further conduct surfaces. Today's mercy doesn't expire, but does learn to be stricter. HR listened the way trees listen still. Present. Full of rings you can't see. Academic phrase of the day. Voluntary self-disclosure. The public argument that when you tell an organization about your own misconduct before they discover it, you earn a narrow road back lesser penalties. Structured restitution. Sometimes even employment after a timeout. It isn't absolution, it's a contract that favors daylight. Miss Keene nodded slowly. We'll place you on unpaid medical leave pending review, she said. Compliance will calculate restitution and propose a schedule. You'll have no access to systems. If you complete treatment and meet the schedule, we'll revisit position eligibility. She paused. Thank you for saying it with verbs. Light joke number 1, I whispered to Dana that HR should sell. I spoke with verbs mugs. Mr. Alvarez actually smiled. We award them internally, he said. They hold decaf, usually. We signed leave request, disclosure acknowledgement, a short memorandum drafted on the spot that read like an oath stripped to muscle. Alvarez promised an initial figure by tomorrow, expected to feel heavier than you want and lighter than you fear, he said, which is what arithmetic often feels like when conscience brings the calculator. Outside, the lobby plant performed photosynthesis with dignity. We exhaled on the sidewalk like people leaving a pool that had been cold at first and then useful. Elm House at 2, I asked. Lila nodded. I'm scared. Good, I said. Scared is honest. On the drive. Dana called Detective Salazar's team served a preservation letter on Riverlight's garage cams, she said. Also, the Cheers for Moms bottle shows up on footage from the rooftop bar the hour before. Sonia bought it. Paid cash. We'll subpoena the receipt book anyway. Cash still leaves handwriting. Sidebar odd fact, forensic folks can sometimes tell if a note was written with a gel pen or ballpoint by infrared light. Gel ink sits on the paper. Ballpoint bites into it with oil. Under magnification. A lie leaves the tiniest footprints. Elm House stood modest on a hill under a stand of tulip poplars. The intake nurse, Tasha, met us with a clipboard that had learned to be gentle. Welcome, she said to Lila. Eyes avoiding all versions of pity. We'll talk medical, money, and boundaries, in that order. They disappeared into an office with a painting of a river that didn't pretend to be anything but moving. I waited in a lounge where chairs made a circle, like they'd rehearsed honesty, until it stopped feeling brave and started feeling normal. Elder wisdom. When you ask for help, bring your feet as well as your heart. The calendar and the body have to show up, or the adjectives will eat the nouns. An hour later, Tasha returned with a paper packet and a nod. She's admitted tomorrow morning, she said. 30 days to start. then step down, family sessions weekly. We'll call you if we need your verbs. I signed insurance things that tried and failed to be coy, authorized Dana's involvement, and gave Lila a hug that didn't try to be a rope. Back at Ruth's. We let soup be lunch because soup forgives. Lila practiced see you in 30 in the mirror and didn't cry, then did, then didn't. Ruth labeled a plastic bin devices, later, placed the phone basket inside, and tied it with twine like a parcel of future. You can look at it when the calendar says yes, she told Lila. Today we keep your brain's hands-free. The compliance email arrived at 4 preliminary loss, a number we could carry between us, and a proposed schedule knitted to paydays, not wishes. Alvarez added a line I respected. Make the first payment before admission. It matters to the part of you that believes yourself. We drove to the bank together. Lila withdrew what she could, hands steady. The teller stamped the receipt. Lila stared at the stamp the way people stare at sunrise after a long tunnel. I like stamps, she whispered. Keep collecting them, I said. Light joke number 2. I told the teller we were loyal to banks that sold accountability by the sheet. She slid us 2 extra deposit envelopes for good luck. We renamed them for habits. On the way home, Victor called twice. We let both go to voicemail. His second message was a velvet-voiced his parking garage. Level 3, 20 minutes. Or everyone learns how much debt weighs. Dana, when forwarded, answered promptly, no meeting, if he escalates. Salazar will arrange the right room. If he shows up anywhere near you, call 911, then me. We agreed to make dinner boring on purpose. Roots pasta, salad, water, early to bed. At 7, Detective Salazar called. Would Nora be willing to attempt a recorded pretext call with Victor tomorrow if Elm House clears it, he asked. We'll be listening. You'll say nothing risky. The goal is his admissions, not your heroics. I said yes. With conditions daylight, scripts, Dana in the loop, body present with Tasha if voices go sideways. Deal, he said. And Nora, nice work today. Juries love a mother who takes notes. Light joke number 3. After I hung up, Ruth raised an eyebrow. Juries love soup. Too, she said. It's the most honest food. We toasted broth with water like it was champagne for responsible people. We ended the day at my table. I wrote 3 sentences in my little book that has become a metronome for decisions. HR prefers verbs. Compliance prefers calendars. We'll bring both. Treatment is a door you walk through daily. The first walk counts double. If a man insists on a parking garage, make him meet a microphone instead. I tucked the book under the potato paperweight, our small moon over a tide chart that keeps proving itself. Before bed, Lila handed me her wallet, sighing with relief like a traveler who knows someone else will hold the passports for a while. Thank you, she said, which landed like a landing more than a word. I set it next to my key on the dresser and said the only sentence that fit the room. We're going to keep you, in the living room. Ruth folded blankets with competence you could build a porch on. Night practice being kind. The phone in night jail slept without parole. Dana texted a morning checklist ID for intake. Insurance card. A book with no gambling metaphors. Tasha texted a heart. The practical kind nurses use when they mean we've got the bed. Bring yourself. Salazar sent a time for the recorded call and a promise I believed we bring the daylight. I turned off the lamp and let the day drift into its proper file. Tomorrow, we would walk Lila through Elm House's door. Make the first payment with hands that don't tremble. And dial a number with the detective on the line. The phone on speaker. And our bravery inside the safe of a script. The house exhaled. The refrigerator returned to B flat. Somewhere across town, a garage considered whether it liked microphones. I decided for it. Elm House accepted Lila the way morning accepts lamps gently, with the understanding that light has to come from inside soon. Intake took 40 unhurried minutes vitals, meds. a counselor named Priya who asked questions like she was building a bridge plank by plank. Ruth and I handed over the pre-packed bag, soft clothes. No coins. A novel with 0 casinos. Lila signed her own name like it had a steadier spine than yesterday. "See you at family session," she said. And the sentence stood up by itself. Elder wisdom. You cannot bargain with gravity. If someone you love is going down the stairs, you put your shoulder under the rail and take the steps with them slow. One at a time. No speeches. Good shoes. Good. We drove straight from Elm House to the precinct for coaching. Detective Salazar had the calm of a librarian with a badge. "We'll script a pretext call," he said, sliding me a sheet whose verbs had been defanged for safety. "Your lines are short. No heroics. Our job is to collect his words in his voice." He showed me the recorder, the consent form, the button that glowed red like a polite lighthouse. Academic phrase of the day, one-party consent, recording the public argument that, in many places, as long as one person in a conversation agrees to record you, it's lawful to capture the other person's words, him. Courtrooms prefer memory with timestamps. I read the script twice. "Ask him to clarify what papers means," Salazar said. "Ask what he gave to your daughter. Ask who sent the bottle. Where? When? Keep your questions dumb on purpose so his ego fills the silence. If he tries to move you to a garage, you say, 'I'm a mother with a pen, not a stunt driver.' Then end the call." "Light joke number 1 if he compliments my diction," I asked. "Can I accept you can say thank you to evidence?" Salazar said. "It has feelings, too." We dialed. The room quieted in that particular way rooms do when they want truth to hear its own footsteps. Victor answered on the second ring. Voice velvet over gravel. "Nora." I made my voice 2 shades smaller than usual. "Victor, I'm trying to understand. What papers did you want my daughter to have me sign?" He exhaled a patient sigh. The kind men practice in mirrors. Inheritance, transfer, authorization. Simple. You sign. We square Lila's ledger. No one gets embarrassed. "And the gift," I said. "The bottle." He chuckled. "A nudge for a fussy night. Sonia handled it rooftop. Cheers for moms." Salazar's eyebrows went up, which I took as a small confetti cannon. In the timeline I asked, "You said brunch or bills at midnight?" "Garage," he said smoothly. "Level 3. Column K, bring a cashier's check, 75. Today, I'll bring the authorization. You bring a pen." I let a beat go by the size of a comma. "I'm a mother with a pen. Not a stunt driver," I said. "Meet me in a lobby at noon." He laughed. "Garages keep secrets." "Noon. Column K." He hung up like a curtain. Salazar nodded, already texting. "We'll do it controlled," he said. "Marked funds, mics, eyes on. You hand nothing until we get the words we need. If he escalates, you step back and say, 'All communications go to counsel.'" He looked me in the face. "We'll be there before your second breath." Sidebar odd fact, cashier's checks wear tiny security features like jewelry watermarks. Microprinting, a security thread that glows under UV. Banks print the payee name into the paper. Copiers make the word void appear like a conscience. Counterfeits often forget to be fussy. Dana joined by phone and forbade improvisation. "No sympathy, no deals," she said. "This is not a negotiation, it's a recording session." I agreed out loud. My hands rehearsed letting go. At 11:42, we parked on level 2. Salazar's team moved like competent shadows, one near the stairwell. One at the pay kiosk, one pretending to argue with a meter. He clipped a small mic to my collar. "Think of it as a brooch," he said. "Very last season. Extremely admissible." He handed me a sealed envelope with a single cashier's check made out to the restitution account at Lila's employer, not to Victor, not to cash, if, and only if. Dana blesses language and we capture extortion. We might float a receipt across for deterrence, he said. But your job is to breathe. Level 3 kept its promises, fluorescent hum, oil ghosts, numbers stenciled on columns like stoic sentries. Victor leaned at Kay like a man early to a lie. Expensive jacket. Watch with opinions. Smile that sold discounts on dignity. He opened with charm. Because of course he did. You look like a woman who respects time, he said. Let's respect it together. I kept my voice lake flat. Show me what you want me to sign. He produced a form titled Authorization in an all-caps font that wishes it were legitimate. Dana's edits rang in my head like bells. Do not initial. Do not acknowledge. Ask him to explain. I tapped the signature line. Explain this to me like I'm sleepy, I said. He warmed to his subject. You sign here. Trustee releases principal. I deliver ledger relief. Your daughter stops being interesting to my friends. He smiled, as if that line were a gift. My friends? I asked. He listed first names like appetizers Marco, Nathan, Sonia. He kept talking. Men in that lane loved their own narration. Sonia did the bottle, I asked. Rooftop. Wrapped, he said. Bored. Little something to help a stiff dinner. I'm not a monster. I'm a problem solver. Light joke number 2. I prefer puzzles with edges, I said. He laughed. Edges are for people who can't afford curves. He held out a pen. The old magic trick. I didn't touch it. I brought something else, I said, lifting the sealed envelope. A cashier's check made payable to the employer's restitution account. 75. As you asked, I did not say please or sorry. I let the mic drink the moment. And in exchange, you sign, he purred. And I tear up Lila's marker. We call your aunt's money a scholarship. He winked. Everybody wins. From the corner of my eye, a figure by the stairwell shifted Salazar. Stillness in sneakers. I kept my lines. Say it clearly, I said. You'll stop contacting my family if I sign and pay. You're cute, he said. Yes. Signature for silence. Payment for peace. He reached. Salazar's voice carried across concrete with the elegance of handcuffs you can't yet see. That's enough. 2 plainclothes moved in from the kiosk, polite as ushers. Victor's charm curdled. This is entrapment, he hissed. No. Salazar said mildly, this is you. On your best behavior, being yourself into a microphone. They separated us with the choreography of people who've done this on Tuesdays. An officer read words that have earned their gravity. Victor's eyes did a math I've seen before, the kind that realizes a season just ended mid-episode. He tried one more act. We can still do business, he said to me. Lo, I do mercy. I do receipts. I answered, and tasted the truth of it. Light joke number 3, Salazar, escorting him toward the stairs, murmured. Column K thanks you for your performance. It's been underutilized this quarter. Even I smiled. We gave brief statements on the hood of an unremarkable sedan while a forensics tech photographed the forged authorization. Nice font, she said dryly. We should post a style guide for criminals. I returned the sealed envelope to Salazar. We'll route it through the court if needed, he said. For now, it stays a prop. We drove directly to Lila's employer to hand-deliver her first restitution payment, Dana's idea. And a good one. Mr. Alvarez took the check with professional quiet. Thank you, he said to me. Then made sure to look at the line where Lila's name sat as remitter. We'll apply it today. He printed a receipt with a little extra ink, as if to introduce us properly. I slid it into a new sleeve in the binder we've started to call Not Drowning. By afternoon, Salazar texted Victor in custody. Charges pending attempted extortion, poisoning, conspiracy. Sonia being interviewed. Rooftop bar cooperated, footage preserved. Dana added, probate court filed our no assignments accepted notice. Beatrice's trust just locked its door and put on slippers. Sidebar odd fact, many parking garages are painted a pale. High reflectance gray not because it's pretty, but because it bounces light back into cameras and helps faces look less like ghosts. Crime dislikes good lighting, so do raccoons. We ended the day at Ruth's table. Soup again, administrative soup, the kind that stays for the meeting and never interrupts. I told Ruth the short version. She poured water like an amen. Lila called from Elm House during phone hour, voice thin but clear. I made it through group, she said. A woman named Alma said shame is a full-time job with no benefits. I think I want to quit. Excellent union talk, I said. We'll help you write the resignation letter. Before bed. I wrote 3 lines on the card. By my lamp, daylight is not dramatic. But it cross-examinates beautifully. Love with boundaries can sit through a sting without inventing heroics. Tomorrow, compliance receipt logged, Elm House family session, and a thank you to a waiter who knew how to whisper, switch. I set the card under the potato paperweight, the town's sensible moon, and let the refrigerator sing its B-flat lullaby, out in the dark. A garage learned that microphones are surprisingly good at keeping secrets safe. In here. A mother learned her own voice is better in small sentences with nouns. The door stayed closed without help. The pen rested. The night, satisfied, turned its page. Elm House's family room had the gentle brightness of a library that forgives whispering. A ring of chairs waited with the patience of furniture that has seen better stories end well. A whiteboard in the corner read, today's verbs listen, own, repair, priya. The counselor with bridge-building eyes invited me to sit. Lila entered with a paper cup and the courage of someone who had already told a hard thing once before breakfast. We went slow. Priya set the rules like placemats, no cross-examining, no time travel, nouns over adjectives. Lila spoke first. I broke trust with money and with a plan to drug my mother, she said. Looking not at me, but at the middle distance where bravery keeps its locker. I'm here to get boring in a way that stays. My ribs unknotted one loop. I'm here to love you the way daylight does, I answered. Fully. With visibility and schedules. Elder wisdom boundaries are not fences to keep people out. They're railings to keep people upright. Build them at grab height, and label them so no one has to pretend. Priya handed us a worksheet titled Terms for Tomorrow. 5 boxes, 5 headings: money, communication, access, consequences, care. We filled them with sentences that could stand without leaning. Money, the compliance schedule, binds. First payment made. Second due on the 15th. No cash apps without receipts logged weekly to Mom plus Dana. Communication daily check-ins at noon for the first 2 weeks. Then taper. Emergency code word cardamom if temptation spikes. Access no keys, cards, or signatures beyond what Elm House approves until step down. Mom keeps the wallet and the night jail phone basket. Consequences if a payment is missed or a lie is told. We pause privileges and alert Alvarez if a craving escalates. Call staff, not a fixer. Care family group every Wednesday. Nutrition class on Fridays because brains like spinach. And one silly movie a week to remind ourselves humor isn't a crime. Light joke number 1, I added no metaphors after 8 p.m. to communication. Priya smiled. Therapeutically sound, she said. Fatigue has a thesaurus. Academic phrase of the day. Contingent forgiveness. The public argument that reconciliation is not a feeling, but a contract. Keep the conditions. Earn the closeness. Break them. Reset the distance without burning the bridge. Mercy with mile markers. After group. I stepped into the hallway for air that didn't have thoughts in it. Detective Salazar called, voice low and pleased. Charges filed: attempted extortion. Conspiracy. Administering a noxious substance, he said. Sonia flipped. She confirms the rooftop purchase and the cheers for mom's delivery. Victor claimed philanthropy. The mic disagreed. We'll keep you posted. I thanked him and asked for a polite copy of whatever the public will eventually know. When it's safe, he promised. Daylight has good manners. On my way out, the Elm House receptionist slid a pamphlet across Repair Clinic's practical restitution. We pair clients with small acts, she said. Letters, volunteer hours, even assembling new patient kits. Repayment is money and motion. Lila later chose kit assembly. Good busy hands are quieter brains. I stopped by Bellini's with a thank you wrapped in parchment and string cinnamon rolls. A note. And a gift card for staff coffee. Elise met me at the host stand. We like endings that behave, she said, accepting the box like a sworn statement. Mateo waved from service, caduceus half visible under his sleeve. We're installing a new policy, he said, grinning. No mystery bottles from the parking lot. If it doesn't come from the bar, it doesn't come to the table. I lifted my palm. To boring beverages. He touched it, solemn enough to make it legal. Sidebar, sir, odd fact. The reason some restaurants give you warm water for tea instead of boiling is insurance. Burn policies are grumpy. True boiling is 212 degrees, 100 degrees at sea level. Many shops pour around 180, 190 degrees out to avoid scald claims. Safety has a temperature. Back home, Ruth had turned the dining table into mission control folders labeled restitution, rehab, HR, police. A calendar with compassionate boxes, highlighters that had made peace with each other. We installed the compliance receipt into not drowning, affixed a tiny frog sticker to its corner, and created a weekly ledger called the Boring Miracle Deposits. Dates, confirmations. The trick is to make success ridiculously trackable, Ruth said, tapping the pen like a gavel. If we can't find it in 10 seconds, it isn't real. Dana called next, her tote probably humming. Probate judge stamped our no assignment notice. She reported. Beatrice's trust now answers only to math. Also, the casino's compliance officer sent a polite note. Victor's privileges revoked. SAR filed. Happy to cooperate. She paused. And Nora Goodwork staying scripted. Judges adore mothers who prefer nouns. Light joke number 2, I'll embroider prefer nouns on a pillow, I said. Put it on the couch between no metaphors after 8 and we decline nonsense. Dana claimed first pre-order. Evening family call time at Elm House felt like a small lit dock. Lila's voice arrived measured. Group was humbling, she said. We wrote our first living amends list. Mine starts with repay money, repay time, repay trust by showing up. She took a breath. Mom, I want you to keep the wallet even after step down, not as punishment, as scaffolding. I wrote that line on an index card and slid it under the potato paperweight, which has become our secular altar. We reviewed terms for tomorrow aloud. Lila added one, if I ask for cash, offer soup. Ruth approved the substitution. Broth beats bills, she declared. We laughed, and the laugh didn't wobble. Academic phrase of the day, bonus, because the night had room structured restitution. The public argument that paying back harm works best when it's baked into a calendar with receipts. Not taped to a wish, courts do it. Families can, too. Just as we were planning bedtime, Mr. Alvarez emailed the formal restitution plan 3 pages. Columns. Dates that marched like a helpful parade. He'd added a small human footnote if payments exceed schedule. Excess will reduce principal, not suspicion. The grace in that line undid me a little. I forwarded it to Lila's Elm House account with the subject math you can live with. Light joke number 3. I texted Alvarez a thank you and asked if their mugs truly say I spoke with verbs. He replied with a photo white ceramic, black letters, and under it, tiny print adverbs by appointment. Before sleep, I wrote a letter to Aunt Beatrice in my head. Your owls were right, I told her. Paper beats panic. Also, we hate the yellow one, which now protects our bank passwords. I promised to use a slice of the trust for something that opposes Victor's job description, a small fund at Elm House for first payments, so other daughters can make that first stamp before their shame talks them into hiding. Ruth brewed chamomile like an oath. We reviewed our household boundary list the way pilots review checklists. Phone in night jail by 9. No secrets that affect money or safety. If someone says cardamom, we stop doing dishes and start doing presents. If a stranger calls with a gravel silk voice, we forward to Dana and make soup. I stepped onto the porch. The neighborhood practiced being decent porch lights like small moons. A distant dog debating philosophy with a squirrel. The mailbox satisfied with plain, addressed envelopes. My phone buzzed once. Salazar again, preliminary hearing in 2 weeks. Your presence is optional. Your paper is not. We'll carry it. Optional. I tasted the mercy of that word. I went inside and drafted 3 sentences for the card by my lamp. We don't forgive in speeches. We forgive in schedules. Safety isn't vibes. It's protocols you can find with one sleepy hand. Tomorrow, send thank yous. Log payment number 2 and bring a book to family night that has nothing to do with courts because brains need vacations. The house arranged itself into quiet. The refrigerator returned to its B-flat. The potato paperweight held our little parliament of index cards with the gravitas of a pocket planet. In her room, Ruth labeled another folder, Repair Clinics, and set it where Lila will see it and not feel lectured. In mine, the lamp clicked off like a promise. I lay down and listened to the pulse of a day that had chosen rails over cliffs. We are not finished, but tonight. Terms for tomorrow lives on paper and in our mouths, in a ledger and in a room with chairs that know our names. And that, for a Thursday, is a kind of holiday I plan to celebrate with the wildest gesture I know 8 hours. Lights out, drama off, receipts ready for morning. Friday wore work clothes. I started with the ledger called The Boring Miracle Payment Number 2, due in 7 days, then made tea that understands mornings. Ruth had already lined the counter with envelopes Alvarez compliance. Donna probate, Elm House family session notes. And a blank one because life likes surprises. I tucked cinnamon rolls for Bellinis into a box like a peace offering to the week and set out. At the office park. Mr. Alvarez waved me into a conference room that smelled faintly of toner and mercy. Quick update, he said, sliding over a single-sheet principal schedule, a column for received. We posted payment number 1, he added. Thank you. The word landed like a small chair for my heart. I initialed today's copy because paper enjoys being witnessed. One more thing, Alvarez said. Softer. When employees do hard, honest things, we try to make the room bigger. Lila's medical leave is approved. If treatment holds and the plan stays on pace, we'll review reinstatement with guardrails. He didn't offer absolution. He offered architecture. Elder wisdom. When someone gives you a narrow bridge, step exactly where they point. Gratitude is not a speech, it's precision. From there, I walked to Dana's office, where the furniture knows statutes and keeps secrets. She had 2 stacks. Good news stack. Probate stamped our no assignments notice. Custodian recorded anti-alienation language. Internal Affairs at Riverlight confirmed Victor's privileges revoked. She touched the smaller pile. Paperwork stack affidavits for the pretext call, a victim impact form you can complete later if charges proceed. And a short letter to the DA describing the inheritance mechanics, so no one wastes time chasing imaginary authority. Her pen hovered. I can draft. You can add nouns that matter. Light joke number 1. Nouns that matter is my new band name, I said. Dana arched an eyebrow. Play only during business hours. We sent a courier with copies to the clerk. The frog stickers have become our unofficial watermark, and I carried copies home because my desk has learned to be a civil servant. On the way, I stopped by Bellini's. Elise accepted the rolls like evidence. Matteo lifted the lid and inhaled as if cinnamon could testify. Detective dropped by, he said. He said to tell you, daylight is contagious. Matteo looked briefly shy. I applied to Pharmacy Tech Night School, he added, almost whispering. Turns out I like rules. We fist-bumped the air. The air approved. Academic phrase of the day. Restitution holdback, the public idea that when paying back harm. You can park funds in a trust or court registry until conditions are met. So repayment doesn't melt in the weather. Dana had sketched such a holdback for any side payments connected to Victor's case, no winks. All witnesses. Back at Ruth's, the afternoon arrived with its sensible shoes. We called Elm House to confirm Sunday family session. Priya wanted us ready with 2 lists triggers with realistic counters and apologies. You will deliver through actions, not adjectives. Lila. On her group call, sounded steady as a metronome, learning a new song. We built craving plans, she said. Mine says, text, mom cardamom, eat soup, walk 5 minutes, tell on yourself. Also, Alma says, I'm allowed to laugh again. She laughed there. Careful and real. Sidebar. Odd fact. Cravings often peak around 3 minutes urge surfing. Therapists call it. Picture the want as a wave. Name it. Time it. Breathe while it crests. And watch it collapse. Brains are dramatic. Timers are unimpressed. Ruth and I walked the small loop around the block to collect ordinary weather. On a porch 2 houses down, Mrs. Shu misted her ferns with the gravity of a judge. You look less triangular. She observed the neighborhood's way of saying, not brittle. We are trying rounded corners, I said. She handed me basil and a sentence, water plants, before they look thirsty. Water people the same. When we got home, an envelope with a courthouse return address lounged in the mailbox like it owned stationery. Inside notice of preliminary hearing for Victor 2 weeks hence. Optional appearance for victims. Statements accepted in writing. Optional is a merciful word. I texted Dana, will submit paper, save my chair for soup. Light joke number 2. I added the hearing date to the calendar and wrote, do not practice speeches. Practice sleep. Mid-afternoon, Detective Salazar called. Sonia gave a full statement, he said. She confirms the rooftop purchase and says, Marco kept a ledger. We've recovered it. Notations look like algebra taught by wolves. Good for court. He paused. We'll return your sealed cashier's check when the DA gives the nod. For now, it's a very photogenic exhibit. I pictured the envelope under museum lighting and almost smiled. Also, he added, tell your waiter friend the caduceus tattoo earned a gold star. We completed the triggers and counters list at the dining table because tables help verbs find chairs. Triggers payday, rooftop views, the word quick, loneliness disguised as charisma, the click of chips in movies, Mother's Day, counter soup, walking, call cardamom, watch boring television until the urge gets bored. Sticky note on the remote that reads, you finish this scene. The urge finishes you. Ruth added one for us if the house feels too quiet. Put the kettle on and align the spoons. Aligning spoons is our new sacrament. Academic phrase of the day, bonus. Because the afternoon agreed cognitive off-ramp, a clinician's term for a planned behavior that shifts the brain from act to observe. Not a distraction, a lever. Soup can be a lever. So can writing a timestamp. At 4. Alvarez emailed another kindness peer discussion. We'll accept payments by noon on due dates. Early payments welcome. Missing one triggers a call, not a guillotine. Bureaucracy, when humane, is a lullaby. I printed the email for the binder, underlined noon, and wrote beside it, alarm 11:30, soup at 11:35, bank at 11:45. Light joke number 3. I told Ruth we should open a pop-up called Administrative Cafe Soups. Stamps. And schedules. She said we already had our dining room. Evening brought small, good chores. I delivered a thank you to Miss Lark at the clerk's office note. Pie. And a postcard stamped, "We appreciate verbs." She frog-clipped the postcard to a corkboard labeled "Win Column." "The law likes boring wins," she said, handing me fresh certified copies like warm bread. The copies went where copies go: sleeve, tab, binder. The binder hummed a tiny hymn. Back home, I sat at my own kitchen table and drafted 2 letters. One to Aunt Beatrice's trust custodian, enclosing a donation from the non-principal discretionary fund seed money for Elm House's first payment kitty, the small checks that turn shame into momentum. The other to Bellini's management, applauding their new bar-only bottle policy and nominating Matteo for whatever passes as sainthood in restaurants. I added a PS, if you ever embroider, keep receipts, keep calm, on aprons. I will buy 2. Ruth assembled a care bag for Sunday's family session tissues, pens, the terms for tomorrow sheet in duplicate, and a snack with crunch because chewing is a metronome. I prepped basil soup Beatrice's recipe, revenge against the yellow owl for reheating after we talk feelings. We placed Lila's wallet back in the night jail basket because habits are our scaffolding even when the day goes well. When the house quieted, I called Lila during evening phone hour. She sounded like a person who had met herself and decided to stay. We learned about living amends, she said. It's not, I'm sorry, it's, here's my calendar. I put restitution dates in pen. Also, I told the group about Matteo and the note, and you spilling the wine like a magician who hates applause. She laughed softly, then breathed. Mom, thank you for not going to the garage alone. I went with a script, I said, and 3 people who like microphones, still, she answered. Thanks for choosing boring over brave. We sat in that sentence like a porch, before bed. I wrote my 3 lines on the card by the lamp. Optional appearances are a kind of mercy, choose paper, when paper behaves. Recovery is scaffolding, not speeches, if it wobbles. Add a brace, not volume. Tomorrow, rehearse family session, align spoons, water basil, send thank yous, set the 11:30 alarm for the next payment day, because the future loves proof. The refrigerator returned to its B-flat like an instrument that never auditions but always gets the chair. On the counter, the binder rested under the potato paperweight, our pocket planet holding the tides in place. Somewhere across town, a ledger written by wolves waited its turn to become evidence. Somewhere nearer. Ruth put the good spoons in a straight little row and nodded to herself like a conductor checking the strings. The night was uneventful on purpose. No vans did laps. No phones practiced menace. The basil on the sill breathed the kitchen's weather. I turned off the light and thought of the phrase that has become our household's quiet anthem paper, with friends. Tonight our friends were a clerk with frog clips, a waiter with a caduceus, a detective who respects commas, a lawyer who prefers nouns, and a daughter who is learning to put her name on a calendar instead of a bluff. Good company for sleeping. Sunday came dressed like a librarian cardigan weather. Quiet shoes, a schedule that respected nouns. Ruth and I packed the care bag for Elm House family session tissues. Pens, terms for tomorrow in duplicate. Almonds for crunch because conversations keep tempo better when the jaw has work. I slipped in the binder we now call Not Drowning and a small card that simply read, breathe here, The House-approved refrigerator on B-flat, Basil posing like it invented green. Priya arranged the circle as if she was setting a table for exactness. "Today we practice repairs we can actually lift," she said. Small, repeated, legible. Lila sat with a paper cup and a posture I recognized from piano recitals, afraid. Ready anyway. We read our terms aloud. She added a line that made the room lean closer if I miss a restitution date. "I will tell on myself the same day. The consequence is soup, not secrets." Priya wrote soup, not secrets on the board like a theorem. Elder wisdom. Don't make promises to who you wish you were. Make contracts with the you who shows up on a rainy Tuesday. It's kinder. And it holds. We rehearsed craving off-ramps as if they were fire drills. Lila's text me cardamom. Drink water. Name 3 blue things in the room. Walk 5 minutes. Then tell staff exactly what her brain lied about. I offered my version, put the kettle on, align the spoons, reread the next restitution due date out loud. Ruth, ever practical, added, "If worry won't sit, hand it a cloth and make it wipe the counter." The group laughed, the healthy kind. Priya nodded. Behavior writes better apologies than adjectives. Light joke number 1. When the marker ran dry mid-sentence, I whispered. Even the pen is honoring our no metaphors after 8 p.m. It has an early bedtime. The circle smiled like a choir that knows the harmony. After group, Priya pulled me aside. "Expect the second week to pick a fight," she said. "Brains get noisy when quiet proves itself. Keep your scaffolding visible. I promise to leave the house rules on the fridge and my heart off the high shelf." Back home, the mailbox offered 2 envelopes that had done their jobs from Alvarez payment number 1, posted, schedule attached, we appreciate punctual nouns, and from the court preliminary hearing reminder with a gentle box checked appearance optional. I underlined optional twice, then added it to the binder under a tab Ruth labeled weather we already prepared for. Academic phrase of the day. No contact order. The public argument that a court can tell a person. You will not call, text, approach, or send messengers to this other person, and attach teeth to the instruction. It isn't drama, it's distance with enforcement. Dana texted that the DA would seek one as a bail condition for Victor and associates. We did the small clicks that keep a day upright. I printed the compliance schedule again, taped a copy inside a cabinet door, and set an alarm for the 11:30 soup before bank ritual. Ruth checked the smoke alarm dates because competence likes company. I wrote Aunt Beatrice's custodian to confirm the tiny first payments fund transfer cleared. Carolyn replied with a sentence that purred posted. May small stamps make large weather. Sidebar odd fact, basil doesn't just droop when thirsty. It releases more of its peppery scent as its cells lose turgor. A plant's way of accidentally perfume screaming, "Please water me." We watered ours before it had to beg. In the afternoon. We walked to Bellini's with Matteo's cinnamon roll receipt and a thank you note that refused to use adjectives. Elise met us under the copper lamp. Apron news, she announced, lifting a corner of fabric like a reveal. The pocket read, in tidy embroidery, "Keep receipts, keep calm." Matteo blushed the way good men do when praised gets loud. "Pharmacy Tech Night program emailed," he said. "I start in September if I keep my verbs." I handed him a fountain pen cartridge I didn't need and told him it was a talisman for legible futures. Light joke number 2. Elise asked if we'd like to be on Bellini's soft wall little Polaroids of patrons who behaved nobly during disturbances. "My hair only agrees to portraits in dim lighting," I said. "We have dim," she replied. "Reader, we post." Dana called as we walked home. "Plea talk has begun," she said. "The DA's team likes tape more than theater. Sonia's cooperation earns her a narrower lane. Victor wants nolo contender but also wants to keep his watch. We don't negotiate his accessories." I asked if my presence at the prelim mattered. "Your paper matters most," she said. "If you come, sit, breathe, leave. No speeches on days designed for scaffolding." Evening brought family phone hour. Lila sounded plain in the best way. I assembled 6 new patient kits. She reported. Cravings spiked at 3:07. I surfed, ate soup, named 3 blue things, towel, binder, sky, and told Priya my brain tried to call quick cash a plan. She paused. "I'm not charming sober. I'm square." "Square holds a room," I said. "We're redecorating in square." We put tomorrow's chores on the fridge. Call Alvarez to confirm payment number 2 date. Write the 1-paragraph statement for the court, not a performance. Just a ledger entry for harm. Bring basil soup to Miss Lark because frog clips deserve broth. Ruth added sharpened pencils. We sharpened. And the little curls of wood looked like confetti from an extremely well-regulated party. Light joke. Number 3. I told Ruth we should open a kiosk called Administrative Confetti. We toss pencil shavings at people whenever they file on time. She said we'd be shut down by the depth of mess. Monday's light arrived with a clipboard. Alvarez's email hit at 8:02, payment window opens, noon deadline per plan. I texted Lila the emoji we reserve for finance frog for stamp. She replied with "and soup at noon plus cardamom for the laugh of it." At 11:30, I heated broth. At 11:45, I walked to the bank with a cashier's check that behaved. At 11:58, the teller stamped. By noon, my ledger had new ink. We celebrated with the sound of the stamp and no drum roll. Dana forwarded a draft of my 1-paragraph statement for court. I read it aloud until the syllables stood at attention on Mother's Day. A drink at a restaurant was altered. My daughter. Under pressure from Mr. R, consumed it and was hospitalized. I incurred ER costs and safety measures and lost hours of work, sleep, and trust. I request a no-contact order and structured restitution. I prefer paper to theater. I added 1 noun bred Mateo's mercy, removed 1 adjective vivid, and signed. The DA's office emailed a standard victim packet with the bureaucratic lyric I know by heart. I filled the boxes with numbers I could defend and left blank the ones that wanted drama instead of facts. Salazar texted a photo of the seized authorization with the caption, "Comic Sans would have been worse," I replied with a gavel emoji and a basil leaf. Academic phrase of the day, bonus. Because calendars multiply. Victim impact statement, the public argument that courts need context beyond spreadsheets, hours lost, dignity taxed, the price of new routines. It's not a closing argument, it's a receipt for harm. Evening was for the boring miracle ledger, the basil's quiet applause, and the kind of dinner that tastes like punctuality. Ruth lined up spoons. I queued up a silly movie because brains need recess. Lila called to say she laughed without asking permission. I watered the basil and thought of Anna Jarvis. Furious at what Mother's Day became, I forgave the day retroactively by deciding our version now contains soup, paperwork, and a waiter with a caduceus. Before bed, I wrote 3 lines on the card by the lamp. Optional is a gift. I will use it where paper can walk for me. We will keep choosing square schedules, stamps. Soup until round shows up by itself. Tomorrow, drop broth at the clerk. Send Mateo his talisman refill and practice saying no contact like a lullaby. The house exhaled like a page turning itself. The refrigerator kept its B-flat. The binder slept under the potato paperweight. Our sensible moon continuing its quiet gravity. Somewhere across town. A watch with opinions ticked in a drawer with less audience than it's used to. Somewhere nearer. Ruth made a list titled, "We Continue." It included sharpened pencils, aligned spoons, water basil, keep receipts, keep calm plus a new line we'd earned, keep going. The week of the preliminary hearing arrived in clean shoes and short sentences. Appearance optional. The notice kept reminding me, as if Mercy had learned to underline. I chose paper. Dana filed my one-paragraph statement with the DA at 8:17 a.m. Alvarez confirmed payment number 3 at 11:58. Ruth aligned the spoons at noon because rituals like to keep time. In the afternoon, Priya texted a reminder in her careful way, family night at Elm House. Bring the terms for tomorrow and leave the rescuing at home. Elder wisdom. Repair isn't an epiphany, it's a routine. If a day doesn't have a place for your hands, add one: a pot to stir, an envelope to stamp, a chair to set straight. Court handled its half without us. Salazar called from the hallway outside Department 6, voice steady. No contact order entered, he said. Victor remanded. Sonia released on her cooperation conditions. DA filed attempted extortion, administering a noxious substance. Conspiracy. Defense asked for time to consider a plea. He paused. Your statement landed the way good paper lands measured. Useful. I thanked him and went back to my kettle, which prefers compliments in steam. Academic phrase of the day. Nolo contendere, the public argument, also known as no contest, where a defendant doesn't admit guilt but accepts conviction and sentence. Courts treat it like a guilty plea for that case. It spares later civil fights some fireworks, but not all gravity. Dana suspected we'd hear the phrase soon. I suspected my blood pressure would enjoy verbs with fewer drums. Lila reached day 30. Elm House marked it with a small coin you can lose in laundry and a circle that clapped softly. She had 3 things to say that didn't ask for violins. I surfed a craving at 3:11. My group knows I owe repayments more than speeches. And I'm okay with square. We brought basil soup to family night. She brought a new habit of putting her phone in the basket before anyone asked. Priya drew a little staircase and wrote, "Step down on the landing." This is where boring becomes durable, she said, smiling at the draft calendar we built. Sidebar odd fact, notary embossers don't use ink. They crimp a raised seal into the paper fibers. If you ever wonder whether an old embossed mark is real, you can lay a thin sheet over it and rub a soft pencil on its seals, leave a silhouette. Paper remembers pressure as well as ink. At home, routines continued their quiet theater. Payment alarms at 11:30 soup. Bank at 11:45 stamp. Photo of the receipt frog sticker. Binder sleeve. Card by the lamp 3 lines. Ruth added sharpened pencils to Saturday mornings. I added breathe here cards to 2 rooms that forget. Alvarez emailed an update that read like a good weather report payments posted. Schedule on pace. Review date circled in a calm pen. The words on paper kept out words we didn't need to say. Bellini's also kept its promise. Elise sent a photo of aprons with our little creed stitched into the pocket, keep receipts. Keep calm, and under it, a smaller line, if it didn't come from the bar, it doesn't come to the table. Mateo texted a night school acceptance email and a picture of a used pharmacology book stacked under his cat. I told him cats are natural compliance officers. They audit labs and require transparency. Light joke number 1. When Mateo asked if I'd sign his first index card as a lucky talisman, I said I'd be honored as long as he promised never to notarize with a cinnamon roll. Dana called with the turn we expected. Defense counsel proposes nolo on 1 count, guilty on another. DA insists on restitution, no contact. And a class on serving drinks is not a loophole. We're close. Out of habit. I reached for my pen. Out of progress. I set it down. My presence was optional. My paper had already walked for me. The day Lila moved to step down, she brought home a plastic storage bin labeled Later that held her old Chaos loyalty cards. A glittering lighter. A coupon book for rooftop cocktails. We put the bin on the highest shelf in Ruth's hall closet and taped a sticky note over it, open only with daylight plus witnesses. Downstairs. The phone basket night jail kept its key in my pocket. Lila didn't bristle. She made tea and asked what soup we wanted this week. Any kind that sounds like a sentence ending in a period, I said. She made lentil, which is basically punctuation you can eat. Light joke number 2. Ruth hung our family's tiny flag, 3 crossed spoons, on the fridge. If anyone asks what nation we are, she declared, say, orderly. We saluted, because some jokes deserve ceremony. We met Alvarez and Miss Keene by video, small rectangles full of policy and decency. We're tracking restitution, he said. If it continues on schedule through step down. We'll consider a probationary role, different duties. Double signatures. A supervisor who loves calendars. Lila said the sentence we practiced and meant, I'll take square over clever. I'll also take soup over Friday nights. Miss Keene tilted her head in that HR way that means a door is visible where a wall used to be. Dana closed out 2 chapters. Probate is wrapped, she said. Setting a certified copy of the court's order under my potato paperweight. Trust unmolested. Distributions by rule. Also, Elmhouse's first payments kitty received your Beatrice gift. The note you wrote, Paper Beats Panic, made Carolyn cry. I pictured the yellow owl Beatrice hated guarding our bank hint and felt a private grin. Light joke number 3. I told Dana I'd embroider, prefer nouns on a pillow and send one to Department 6. She said judges like lumbar support more than throw pillows. But I was welcome to try. One afternoon, I caught myself standing in my kitchen with no immediate emergency, no timer, no call to make a small, plain piece I almost didn't recognize. I wrote 3 lines on the card by the lamp and realized they were longer now, like sentences that trust themselves. We are the family that chooses schedules over speeches. We are the house that tapes rules inside cabinets so our future can find them sleepy. We are the people who set soup before panic and paper before heroics. The plea came through on a Wednesday when the basil needed water. Nolo on the noxious substance count. Guilty on attempted extortion. Restitution ordered. No contact extended. Community service hours assigned to a program that teaches teens how to read contracts before they sign lives away. Sonia accepted probation with a cooperation bow. Salazar sent me the 2-paragraph summary. Dana forwarded it with a period where my exclamation point used to be. Optional attendance stayed optional. I stayed home. We marked the news by doing exactly nothing dramatic. Lila and I walked to Bellini's and sat under the copper lamp where Mother's Day had tried to be a villain. We ordered uninteresting tea. Mateo brought it in cups that steamed like spelling bee words. To square, I said, lifting mine. To receipts. Lila answered. We didn't clink loudly. We didn't rehearse pain. We ate bread. We left a thank you that looked like a napkin with keep receipts, keep calm in my everyday handwriting. That night. The refrigerator hummed its B-flat like a choir that never auditions. The binder slept under the potato paperweight. Our pocket moon that has supervised every small tide. I put the phone in night jail, turned off the light, and let the day file itself. Somewhere across town, a watch with opinions ticked toward community service. Somewhere nearer. A daughter practiced being square and found out that it holds. I slept. Because the story now prefers morning. We finish not with fireworks, but with furniture rules taped inside cabinet doors. Alarms that ring before the bank closes. And soup that warms the air where panic once rehearsed. A Mother's Day table turns from trap to testimony, not because anyone shouts, but because a waiter with the caduceus whispers switch. A manager saves a camera angle. A detective trusts microphones. And a lawyer prefers nouns to thunder. Chain of custody begins with a napkin. and daylight keeps walking. The daughter chooses treatment and square routines, phone in night jail. Restitution on calendar. Cravings served with water and small walks. Apologies measured in punctual receipts. The mother chooses optional paper over presents when paper suffices. Schedules over speeches. Scaffolding over rescues. Together they write terms for tomorrow's soup. Not secrets. Cardamom as the code word. Keys and cash under the supervision of daylight and witnesses. We don't forgive in speeches, we forgive in schedules. Becomes a soft anthem the refrigerator hums back in B-flat. Courts do their part with quiet instruments, a no-contact order, a restitution plan, and a plea that removes the need for theater nolo on one count, guilty on another. Consequences that prefer straight lines to spectacle. The probate court keeps Aunt Beatrice's trust intact and retools a slice to help other first payments happen before shame decides for them. Bellini's adopts a bar-only bottle rule. Aprons embroidered with "keep receipts, keep calm." And Matteo signs up for pharmacy tech night school because rules suddenly look like a future. Even the potato paperweight earns a promotion pocket moon. Holding tights. In the end, the house learns to recognize footsteps again. The lamp clicks off. The binder sleeps. The basil drinks on time. A watch with opinions ticks in a drawer with less audience than it wanted. And the two voices that mattered most settle into one slow cadence square. Durable. Ordinary on purpose, ready for morning to arrive without an escort.